Hey everyone, what is happening? So I'm really excited about this episode. Today we're going to add build benchmarks to your GitHub PRs. So every time you make a PR, it does a diff against the master, and then it tells you what file comparisons there are. Is your chunks getting bigger? Is your chunks getting smaller? Just to evaluate stuff. So I hope you enjoy and stay tuned. Okay, so welcome back. We're going to go over a few goals and prerequisites for this video. I am assuming a lot of things from my viewers, and honestly, even if you don't know some of the stuff, the prerequisites that I have, if you're just looking to get this up and running, you don't necessarily need to. Just follow the steps in this video and you can get up and running. Okay, so the goal of this, to add build benchmarks to GitHub on every GitHub PR. So my goal is, or our goal is, that whenever we make a PR, it will trigger GitHub actions and then do a diff against what chunks are in master and what chunks are in this PR, and tell you in the comments what's different and what's changed. So right now on the right in this example, we have the impacted files at the bottom. So this shows you the chunks, and on the top it shows you the modules. So self will tell you, self is the code that you write, and the rest of the module names are the modules that you're pulling in. So whenever you do yarn install, whatever modules you're pulling in from node modules, it will show up over here. So in this case, I actually deleted all my React 3 stuff just to show that chunks are getting smaller. So in this case, my self module also got smaller because it was using some of that code, and then my main chunk over here dropped down from 15 KB to 13.6 KB, and the rest of my chunks where you see NA, it just got deleted completely. Okay, so this is just a way for developers to be more cognizant of what they're doing. So it's very easy to get lost in the front end world when you're trying to just make features and you're not really keeping track of how this feature or how this implementation is going to affect the user's experience. So this is just from a high level way for developers to see what their PR is doing. Like, they're submitting this PR, but what is it actually, what kind of effects does it actually have outside of the feature? Because that is also important, I would say, almost as important, because you can get easily go into this rabbit hole of just making a chunk super big, and you're like, well, on my fast 3G, on my fast network, when I'm running it locally, it works fine. Yeah, because it's local, so you're getting all your files like that. But when you push it up, some people might not have the best internet connection, and then they don't have the same experience as you. So you want to keep those chunks to a minimum, or to a good size at least. Okay, so that is the goal. So here's the prerequisites. GitHub Actions knowledge, the general understanding of what GitHub Actions do. Maybe you wrote some of your own for your own pipeline. Knowing how to write your scripts in Node. So since we're playing with JavaScript, I'm just going to write all my scripts that we need in Node, just to make it easier for us. And then finally, AWS S3 bucket. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our stats file, we're going to take our bundle file, we're going to take our stats file, and the stats file we generate every time there's a push to master, we are going to take that file and upload it to S3. And then on every PR request, we're going to pull those files from S3 and do a compare. We don't want to add it in our repo. Stats file actually gets pretty huge, so you don't want it in your repo. Best to keep it somewhere outside. You can definitely commit it in your repo. You can choose other places to store this. So S3 is totally plug and play for everyone that is doing this tutorial. Okay, so let's get started. So let me switch to my console over here. Okay, so what we're going to use is I have a repo called React Custom Webpack. I wish we could use CRA for this, but we can't really without jumping through some hoops, because we need Webpack bundle analyzer, and since CRA is very its Webpack configuration is it's hidden for the most part. Like, you can't really easily access it. It's not easily extensible. unless you get rewired, React rewired, or CRACO. So we're just going to use the custom Webpack. So you can go to github.com/FloydJones1 React-Webpack-custom, and you can actually pull this code down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to git clone this over here. So let's actually make this full screen and do git clone this, and I'm going to do a period just to say that, hey, I want all these files inside this folder. Otherwise it will make another folder and put it in. Another thing is I'm going to rm-f to force remove the .git folder. I want to remove the reference to this repo because we're going to push it to our own repo soon. So I'm just going to do that. rm is not so ls-a .git. Yeah, I see it right there. rm cannot remove .git is a directory. Oh, okay. So rm rf git, and now, yep, we removed the reference, so we can't even see main now, which is good. Okay, let me clear this. Okay, so what you should get out of the box, this should be a React application. So let's do yarn and get all our dependencies. You can use npm as well, whichever one you prefer. I'm using yarn in this case. So we're just gonna get our dependencies, and we're just gonna do a yarn start just to start up our application. That fixed, but this is the application that you'll get when you start up your custom Webpack React. It's just an application that has an increment and decrement button, and yeah, that's about it. So we want to do a couple things now. So we want to create our GitHub repository and start our where we want to make workflow files. So let's do a simple one. Let's start with just building our application, and the workflow just stops after that. So let's do that now. So we'll go over here, go to my repositories, and create a new repository. I'll call this what did I call this over here? It is bundle benchmark PR example. So I'll just copy that and paste that in here. Uses GitHub Actions to output build benchmarks. Okay, so this will be a public repo. I might have to make it private based on the secrets that I add, which it might force me to do that. I don't need a README. Let's create the repository. Cool. So let's do all of this over here and get our local up and running. So I'll do all of this and then git push origin main. Okay, node modules already got added. Whew. Okay. Yeah, node modules already got added to the git ignore, which I had from the previous one, which is all a-okay. Okay, so git add. Okay, so git add dot to add all of it, and git push. Let's just do git commit all React files and push that. Okay, so now let's start with making our GitHub actions over here. What we need to do is we need to create our folder. So GitHub will look for a folder called, so let me do that, make dir.github. It'll look for a folder called .github, and it'll look for a folder inside that called workflow. So workflow. So it is workflows, and then cannot create workflows, no such thing, or directory. So mkdir.github, and then mkdir /workflows. So inside there, we want to make our YAML file. So YAML file is definition for the GitHub action. It will take that YAML file and it will execute it based on certain rules that we add to it. So we want to add a rule specifically for main. So over here, we're on main. So inside here, I'm going to create a new file called main push.yaml. And we just want to start making this run on the repo. That's going to be our first goal. So I'm just going to copy paste some code because this is repetitive, and we'll just explain it. What goes on. Okay, so here is what I got over here. This is a basic setup for building your application. So what's happening is there's just a name for this workflow file. So this is not necessary, this is optional. So this is what's important. So on push branches main. So we're telling GitHub to run this workflow whenever there is a push to our main branch. And then in GitHub workflows, there's multiple jobs, and jobs could run sequentially or parallel, or in parallel depending on how you set them up. This whole YouTube video, we're just going to just have one big job. And each job has multiple steps. You can have and then steps have actions to it. Don't quote me on that, but generally these are actions that you want to run. So the action I'm trying to do is checking out the repo, installing dependencies, and then doing a yarn build over here. So and then over here we're just doing yarn build over here. So this will run all our files in here. There's nothing you would have to change in here. Everything is set up, but I'll just go through it. So we have a yarn build script, and we are just cleaning out the dist folder. So we're removing it, and then we're bootstrapping it again. So we're creating a new dist folder. The reason why we're doing that is because if Webpack doesn't see the dist folder, then this build will completely fail, because it's trying to output stats in there. So that's the reason why we create that. And then over here, we're going to create our Webpack build. So Webpack progress, it's just going to give us a shorter description of the entire build process. Mode is production, and we're just saying we want to profile this and output it as JSON inside this file over here. So let's do a yarn build on our local, right? Let's see what we get. So we do a yarn build, and then this will create a dist file. As you see, we have our stats.json over here, and as soon as it's done, we can click this and we can see the stats that got outputted over here. And given that this is such a small application, and we got this file is huge, like for the size of this application, which is just like a couple lines of code, this is insane, but it gives you some great detail. And you can check that too by doing yarn bundle report. So yarn bundle report. So what this will do is this will create your stats file again, and then it will run Webpack bundle analyzer. So over here you can see the bundle. So we have one big bundle called main.js, and then inside there we're using React DOM and React over here, and a little bit from our source folder over here. A quick run through, because this confused me too. There's three sizes over here: stat, parsed, and gzipped. Stat is just the transpile code, so there's no transformations done. Well, there's just Babel transformations done to it. Parsed is when we minify it. So stuff like Tesser and Uglify would take your files and then pretty much minimize it by reducing variable names and stuff like that. So it just gets the size a bit lower. And then finally gzip, this is a good estimate of what your file size will be after it's gzipped. Let's say you put it up on S3 bucket and you allow for gzipping, that's the size that you will get. Okay, cool. So we got this. Let's actually commit this to our repo now. We should see GitHub Actions getting kicked in. So git commit first gh action, and then we can push this over here. So now we can go to our build bundle benchmark PR and refresh this. And over here you should see a yellow dot, which tells you that there is a build. There's a GitHub Actions kicking off. So if you right click this and click open a new tab, or you can click this, whichever you prefer, you can see your workflow getting kicked in. So mind you, this is completely free as long as you stay within your limits. There's a certain amount of minutes that you can use, a certain thresholds for free tiers. So in our case, we're perfectly fine with this. Okay, so we showed that this would work. So now let's work on building our stats file now. I'm gonna assume this is gonna work now. I don't have any. I'm not worried about it not working. Now to introduce you to how we're gonna output stats information into our PR. So there is this really great, like it's really great. It's made by Fiverr. So if any of you do freelance stuff, you already know Fiverr. Fiverr is a web platform where people can sell their services and stuff like that. I'm not promoting them, by the way, so I'm not getting money for saying that. I wish I was getting money, but anyways, so what happens is that they can take your stats file, they will read your stats file and read all the files inside your dist folder and create a short form version of what is going on inside that. And what's also really great is not only do they do that, but they also have this neat feature where you can do a GitHub pull request and you can specify your files before and your file after. So your stat files before and your stat files after, and also the stat files generated by Webpack Bundle Analyzer. So you specify it for the before and you specify it for the after. You add a few parameters over here, and it should output something like this, where you can see the files that have changed, the modules that also have changed inside this folder. The rest is also really useful stuff, but the main thing we're going to use is over here. So given that, let's get started with it. So we actually need Statistician to begin with. So I'm just going to go over here and install Statistician. So yarn add --dev statistician, hit enter. So this will get Statistician. Another thing is that we're gonna write all our scripts in Node. So let's actually make a directory, call scripts, and this will house all our scripts. So over here, we're gonna create our first file to help generate our Statistician file. So I'm just going statistician generate.js, and over here again I'm going to copy paste some code. Okay, so this is what's going on. So we are going to get from Node our child process to get exec. Exec is going to allow us to run command to run commands in your terminal. So in this case, we want to run statistician file, and we're going to tell statistician where the dist folder is, and we're going to tell it what to ignore. So we don't care about maps, hash map. The source maps generated aren't a big issue when it comes to load performance. So we can ignore that. We can ignore the license stuff. That's fine. And we also want to ignore the actual stat.json file. So when we run this, this outputs something. Actually, let's run this right now. So let's actually copy this and paste this in here. Hopefully this works. Oh, I forgot another thing over here. So something breaks, because the quotes are different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this directory directly, and we're going to run this. So let me just change this up a little bit. So yarn statistician, we don't need the version because we have it locally, and we want to ignore this, and ignore this. Okay, so let's copy this and paste that in here. So now I saw something, there is an error log that's getting spit out, but this is what we get over here. So this is the files that is generated. I'm not sure if this is a Windows problem, but I get other outputs over here too. So over here we see our index file size, we see our main file size, and we see other stuff over here. So what this actually does is it extracts the text from the open brackets to the closing brackets, and then it writes that information into the files thing over here. So that's what this is doing over here. So even if we actually, I could have just ran it. So let me delete this. So now actually let me just run this file. So node scripts statistician generate. Okay, there we go, it's saved. So if we go over here now, we see the files that statistician generated. Scripts are gonna come in handy a lot because it helps us encapsulate some code and it just helps us ship it. So what do we want to do? So we want to now add this to our GitHub action. So we're going to say generate statistician file. So over here, we just need to do node, and we're going to go into the scripts folder. And then we are just going, just so I don't make a spelling mistake, I'm just going to copy this. And I'm going to paste that directly. Oh, it's not working. Bruh. Okay, statistician generate. So this is gonna generate our file over here, and our build is gonna generate our actual stats file from Webpack Bundle Analyzer. So on main, we don't care about comparing anything. On main, our goal is to generate the stats file and to push it up to S3. So now here comes the the next thing. So now we want to interface with the S3 bucket. So let's actually create our S3 bucket first. So we're here in AWS and we can go to our S3 buckets and let's create a new bucket. I might have a bucket here already, but that's fine. So we just want to call this bundle stats, right? Bundle stats. And everything's fine. We don't want it to be publicly accessible. That is completely fine. Let's create this bucket. Bundle stats already, bucket with name already exists. That's weird. I don't remember making it. Example. Okay, cool. So now let's create this bucket over here. So now we have bundle stats example over here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to upload our files and our stat files to master. We want to keep that golden over there. So to do that, we need to set up a GitHub action that uses AWS CLI. So let's go back over here and I'll copy paste some more. Okay, so this is an AWS action that is publicly accessible. So you can go over to GitHub and let me actually, what don't I need over here? I don't need this. So let me search all of GitHub and then I can't find it. Oh, okay, inside org. Just wondering what's going on. Okay, so AWS, that's fine. God, where is this? Oh, it must be the version that's throwing it off. Okay, so AWS Actions. So this sets up your AWS credentials in GitHub Actions. So one thing we need to generate now is our AWS access key ID and AWS secret. So let's do that right now. If we go back to Amazon and we go to IAM over here, we need to generate some new secrets that have access to talk to the S3 buckets. So where is it? So we want to generate a new user over here. So this is going to be example bundle bundle size, and we want to give it programmatic access. So we want the access key and the secret access key. So let's go next to permissions and let's attach policy. So if we search for S3, we just want S3 full access. It doesn't really matter because we need to upload and also read. So let's create that. Let's forget about the tags right now and let's create this user. So we should get now an access key and a secret access key. So this will be used for our GitHub actions. Let's go back over here and let's set up these secrets. So if we go over to settings and we go to secrets, there are no secrets. Okay, manage your new repository secrets. So let's figure out what those names are. So the names for these secrets are AWS access key. So let's copy that and go back over here, paste that. And then let's get the access key from over here and paste that in over here. So let's add the first access key. And now let's create another one for the secret access key. So let's do that, paste that in here, and let's grab that over here. Don't worry, I'll just delete this at the end of this, this video, so no one even try to steal my access keys. Okay, so we created that. So now this should give access to GitHub Actions to pull these secrets in and to use them. So now when this runs, it will get the access key and set it up perfectly. Okay, so now we set up our credentials. So now we want to, let's call this step upload stats files. Okay, because we generated our stats file from Statistician and build already outputs our stat file. Now we just want to upload this. So I'm just going to say run over here, which will be another script we haven't made yet, but I'll just call this scripts / upload stats.js. So let me create that here right now. So upload stats.js over here, hit enter. And so now let me just input some code. So this is what I pasted. Again, we need exec to run command line arguments, and we need parser over here. So parser is a neat little tool that helps you parse the outputs, which we're going to use. So let's actually check this out right now. So let me paste that in, parsing lint. So what this does is it just reads the output of these and then makes it easily accessible for you, because we're going to read the S3 bucket and we want to parse this easily. So let's actually install this as well. So go back over here. So yarn add --dev, and we're just going to get parse listing. So while that's getting installed, we do need our S3 bucket name. So I just configured this up perfectly so we can get our bucket name, and that's all you need to do. So we can go over to our S3 bucket over, so S3 bucket over here, get our bucket name. So click that, and then pretty much our bucket name. I'm trying to see if I can find the actual thing here. No, it's fine. Okay, so if you just copy this over here and then paste that over here, you got to do S3 : / and paste this. So this will get access to your bucket name. So what happens is we are listing all the files when we're just parsing them to human readable. And then we're parsing it over here. This does some special parsing. So what happens is there will be multiple commits to main, and we want to reserve the naming convention of stats-main and files-main for our most recent commit changes on GitHub. So every time there's a new commit, we want to rename the old stats and files.json to something else, and we want to reserve this name over here, stats-main and files-main, for the most recent one. So what I'm doing is listing all the files to see if there exists any. So we parse it just to see if their name includes main.json, and if we don't find any files starting or ending with main.json, that means there isn't any files over there. So we can immediately just upload our stats file and our files.json, and we can just upload it directly to the S3 bucket. If the length is 2, which it should be if there is already files uploaded over there, we want to first move we want to move the old file. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the stats-main that already exists up over there, and we want to rename that to the timestamp that's randomly generated. Well, not randomly generated from the time that the script is executed. We just want to append a timestamp to that, so it's kind of unique. Once we do that, we actually still need to upload the files at the very end. So what we can do is that we can move this. So this is adding the file. So we can actually copy this and put this outside over here. So, so all we have to check now, if file length is equal to 0, then we don't really do anything, right? Because it's already getting executed. So we just say skip over here, because it's already getting uploaded at the bottom. And if it's 2, then we want to rename it. And if the we want to rename the existing files that are already there, and if so, then we want to create the new file. So let me repeat that. So if there's no files up there, we want to skip. If there's 2 files up there, then we want to rename it. And then if there's any other number over there, then we just want to throw an error just to make sure. And then finally we upload this. So let's save this right now. And let's now, if we push this, we should get files getting uploaded over there. So let's actually give this a test run. What can go wrong, right? One thing I need to do is to ignore files.json locally so it doesn't get pushed. Everything else here is fine. Parser lin statistician. So let's push this right now. So let's commit all of this. Git commit m. This will be pushing stats file to S3, and then we push that. And now let's check our GitHub actions over here. So build bundle benchmarks, refresh. Okay, so there is something that's getting kicked off right now. We can go and check it out. The workflow is getting started. Okay, so one error I made is that it's trying to run stats over here, but silly me, this is called upload stats. So I'm going to rename this to stats. And let's see how it goes now. Okay, so this action actually ran successfully, which is scary because now you're going to check whether it actually uploaded files. So let's go to S3 over here and refresh this, and boom! So there we go. So we have now uploaded our files.main and our stats.main to our S3 bucket, which is great, which is exactly what we need. And just so I can tell you about the size comparisons, okay, so stats main is 184 kilobytes and files main is only in the bytes. So I'm just trying to say how big this stats main can get. So committing it in your actual repo might not be the best thing. Okay, so I'm actually gonna stop this video right over here. I think it's a good segue to stop at. Please, if you're interested, in the next video, we will hook this up to compare to first. We're going to create scripts to pull our files from our S3 bucket, and we're going to compare that with our locally generated file diff. And then once we can do that, we'll make scripts to let Statistician make comments to tell us what the diffs are, and that will be the end of that video. So we're going to make another workflow file, and in that workflow file, it's only going to work on PRs. So I'm really excited about the next part of this video. I hope you are too, and I hope to see you there. Please, if you enjoy this video, stick around for the next one. Show some support, drop a like, drop a subscribe. It really goes a long way. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.